everyone talks about how to run LinkedIn ads, but almost no one actually shows you what's inside their ad account. So in this video, I'm opening up our ad account, the strategy and the campaigns that took Fibbler from 0 to 200 B2B SaaS customers. Let's get into it. And what I first want to run through here is the overall structure of the ad account. Then we're going to get into targeting, bidding, creatives, and metrics, of course. But spoiler alert, I'm a big fan of keeping everything very simple, from what we're looking at in terms of KPIs to creatives. I think we are often making it way too complex in order to achieve success. But all in all, we have two campaign groups here. We have a retargeting campaign and we have a cold campaign. So cold campaign meaning people that most likely don't or haven't heard about us before, and retargeting is people that have went to our website, the company page, or engaged with our cold layer, and so on. We'll get into that. But let's take the cold layer first. In here, we have three campaigns. We have a text campaign, which is on the right side of LinkedIn, right? And almost no one clicks on these campaigns. So it's basically free impressions. As you can see here, we've had almost 19,000 impressions. During the last 7 days, we've spent 0. So you should be running this to stay top of mind at all times. Second, we have an image campaign, image ad. It could be a video campaign as well, but I think image ads are much easier to create and less resource heavy. And this is a great way to show our distinctive brand assets to make sure that the buyers and our audience are actually remembering us at all times. And then we have thought leader ads, which I would say is the secret to our big success during the last 12 months. And for you that haven't heard about those before, it's a way to sponsor organic posts so that they look extremely similar to that. And they're highly engaging, of course. If we start with image ads in this sense, when I look at success here, I tend to focus on CTR, and not because I want, a majority of the people to come into our website. It's still 0.7% or whatever it is here, but I know what the average CTR is on LinkedIn. It's about 0.4% overall, and I know that if I'm a bit higher than that, I'm probably engaging my audience a lot more than average, right? So that's good. And if our campaigns are engaging with our audience, it will correlate with buyers buying with us later on. That's my big belief. So as you can see here, obviously, I want our CTR to be above 0.7% at least, to be a fairly good campaign, above 1% in the beginning of the campaign, I would say. So we have 0.7, 0.7. So these are definitely okay. We can also run into that to look a little bit on the targeting side. Here as well, I'm keeping it extremely simple because Fibbler is a platform that can be used by most companies. We're targeting mostly SaaS companies, but at least tech companies, marketing roles similar to myself, heads of demand, growth, etc., and then SMB companies, right? So we're keeping it quite broad. I like to have a target audience size of 50 to 70,000, something like that, but it all depends on your budget, of course. I'm targeting both United States and EMEA. Could be argued that you should split these out based on time zones, etc., but it's working fine for me. And as I said, as of right now, I'm keeping it very broad, which has worked really nicely for us. Ideally, you would work from some sort of account list, right? But we have such a broad ICP, so I want to keep it as broad as possible here. So we're targeting quite niche roles in a way, I would say. Everything coming to growth, digital marketing, demand gen, marketing ops, and so on, from 11 to 200 employees, because we know that they are most likely to buy us. Technology, information, etc. So that's basically tech companies, and then the agencies, right? It doesn't have to be harder than that, right? We of course having exclusions, extremely important, competitors, previous employers, everyone that has signed up, so including customers, and then also that we don't want to get in these larger enterprise companies because we are not the platform for them. we're of course using manual bidding. I typically start at 2/3 of the recommended bid, and then I just make sure that we're continuously spending our daily budget. And that's about it. It doesn't have to be harder than that with cold targeting. Then, of course, the ideal state, you would have some sort of third-party data vendor where you can get account lists and so on, but we're a startup, and we have to start somewhere. Then we're going to get into thought leader ads as well. And I would say these are truly the secret to our big success. These were I think these were actually introduced of maybe a year ago, 2 years ago on LinkedIn, but they are fairly new, because there are so many people not using them right now. So it's a huge opportunity. And as you can see, these are the content here for us is mainly talking about the company, the growth of the company, how we're growing, what tech stack we have, and so on. So content that is very relevant to our audience, but not pitching Fibbler as a solution right away. Just a small nudge in there. So what I want to see here as well, I'm also looking at CTR, but CTR for this format is everything included. It's all the engagement. So it's see more clicks, it's likes, it's everything, right? So it will be a bit higher, of course, but here I want for a good campaign here in cold, I want to see above 15%. I have that here, I have 15 here, a bit lower here, and so on. I think above 10 is fairly okay, and then above 15% is good. But that's not the only thing I want to see, because another thing that we do with thought leader ads is that before we sponsor them, we edit them and we add a link to our site and a few other things about the product, right? Because that way we can track landing page clicks, clicks to landing page. So what I want to see here is that the clicks to landing page is above 10% of the total social action. So that was the clicks we looked at before. So I want to see that this is above 10% of this, because then my belief is that we have a higher intent of them actually, wanting to hear more about us, which tends to be better in the retargeting layer later. So here we can see we have 10%. Here we have above 10%. Here we have a bit lower than 10%, and here we're also above 10%. So I want to make sure that we are not running campaigns that are not, getting them to do that click, because it tells something. Not to get traffic necessarily to the site, but it tells me something about the intent. So that is basically what we're running in cold. Then we have retargeting, of course, very similar in structure. So we're running text ads, of course, in the same manner as well. And you can see here as well, we spent $11. We've had 16K impressions. It's a great way to stay top of mind. And then we have, instead of image ads, I'm running conversation ads here. So it's a bit more intrusive. It's us as a person, so it's me getting into your inbox with a message. But what's so brilliant about this is that I'm gonna show you right here. It's that we have almost 50% open rate with this. A lot higher in the beginning. Now we've been running this for a while, but still 50% of the people getting this in their inbox are opening them. So they are seeing, and here I'm going to talk a lot about the product, so our positioning, why they should care about us, and how we can help them. So 50% of these are actually consuming our positioning and the messaging, which is insane, right? And also, the cost per open of that is extremely low. So this is a huge opportunity as well. Then we have a click to open rate of almost 5%. So I would say I would like the open rate to be a bit higher, maybe 60-70%. So we have to tweak that a bit. Then the click to open rate obviously also get more to 7% maybe. But this is a huge, also underutilized format, I say. Then we have thought leader ads here again, but here the content is much more product. They have most likely already engaged with the previous content or visited our website and so on. We're going to get into that. But we can introduce, myself talking about my work and how I've struggled, and then how I've solved it using Fibbler, right? Which is a great way to kind of segue the product in there. And same thing here. I am going to look at the CTR as well. I want to see a similar CTR here. Ideally, I would actually want it to be a bit higher. So I'm seeing similar, above 10-15%. I would ideally maybe want it to be closer to 20, but here we are. And then I of course also want to look at clicks to landing page here, about 10%. Here we're at about 10%, above. Here we are at 0 actually. It's probably why we paused this campaign. And then we can get that into that. And here we have also about 10%. So that's kind of the differences. And what you can see in this ad account is that we are not trying to create conversions from these ads, right? We are trying to, get them to remember me, to remember Fibbler as a brand. And when they are in market to buy, we want them to immediately, Fibbler, let's go down to their site. And that is how it's working. We are not closing deals based on their click on our ad and then them signing up for a free trial. They are seeing these over time, then they're coming to our site, trying our product, loving it, and then they're buying, right? And if we go into these retargeting campaigns, just for you to see how the targeting, etc., looks here, we are targeting the same regions. Of course, here we have also, I'm keeping it very simple here. I'm running website traffic 90 days. I'm running company page visits 90 days. And then all the engagement on all the ads in the code layer 90 days. If you have a bigger audience size here, you can of course segment it down based on function and so on to make sure you're targeting the right people. But I'm trying to still build up this retargeting audience. We're keeping it quite high level. But as you can see, I know that all of these functions are very relevant to buy my product. So I'm not segmenting it down anymore because I don't have to. Same thing here. I'm excluding, competitor or employers or companies I don't want in there, and signups and so on. Same thing here. We're running manual bidding, about 2/3 of the recommended bid, still keeping it fairly broad. I think that's the key here. There's a lot of people who can be buyers and influencers of our product. And I think there's very common that you always try to restrict your advertising towards only the decision maker when there's a lot of influencers along the way that will probably have a huge impact. And then in terms of measuring success, I talked about us not measuring it by conversions, right? But obviously we're measuring it a lot through our own platform. So looking at how people over time been influenced by our campaigns, or seeing our campaigns month over month until they're either converting to direct or brand. And for us, it's really, our brand has 5x during the last 12 months, which this is a big reason for that. And that's actually a wrap for episode 1 of Inside an Ad Account, and we got more coming soon. Do you want to see how other LinkedIn Ads pros run their ad account? Tune in for the next episode. Subscribe and like this video if you haven't already. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.